The Knox translation. Genesis 1. God, at the beginning of time, created heaven and earth. Earth was still an empty waste, and darkness hung over the deep. But already, over its waters, stirred the breath of God. Then God said, "Let there be light." And the light began. God saw the light and found it good. And he divided the spheres of light and darkness. The light he called day, and the darkness night. So evening came, and morning, and one day passed. God said, too, "Let a solid vault arise amid the waters, to keep these waters apart from those." A vault by which God would separate the waters, which were beneath it, from the waters above it. And so it was done. This vault God called sky. So evening came, and morning, and a second day passed. And now God said, "Let the waters below the vault collect in one place to make dry land appear." And so it was done. The dry land God called earth, and the water, where it had collected, he called the sea. All this God saw and found it good. "Let the earth," he said, "yield grasses that grow and seed, fruit trees too, each giving fruit of its own kind, and so propagating itself on earth." And so it was done. The earth yielded grasses that grew and seeded, each according to its kind, and trees that bore fruit, each with the power to propagate its own kind. And God saw it and found it good. So evening came, and morning, and the third day passed. Next God said, "Let there be luminaries in the vault of the sky, to divide the spheres of day and night. Let them give portents, and be measures of time, to mark out the day and the year. Let them shine in the sky as vault, and shed light on the earth." And so it was done. God made the two great luminaries, the greater of them to command the day, and the lesser to command the night. Then he made the stars. All these he put in the vault of the sky, to shed their light on the earth, to control day and night, and divide the spheres of light and darkness. And God saw it and found it good. So evening came, and morning, and a fourth day passed. After this, God said, "Let the waters produce moving things that have life in them, and winged things that fly above the earth under the sky's vault." Thus God created the huge sea beasts, and all the different kinds of life and movement that spring from the waters, and all the different kinds of flying things. And God saw it, and found it good. He pronounced his blessing on them: "Increase and multiply, and fill the waters of the sea, and let there be abundance of flying things on earth." So evening came, and morning, and a fifth day passed. God said, too, "Let the land yield all different kinds of living things, cattle and creeping things, and wild beasts of every sort." And so it was done. God made every sort of wild beast, and all the different kinds of cattle and of creeping things. And God saw it, and found it good. And God said, "Let us make man, wearing our own image and likeness. Let us put him in command of the fishes in the sea, and all that flies through the air, and the cattle, and the whole earth, and all creeping things that move on the earth." So God made man in his own image, made him in the image of God. Man and woman both he created them. And God pronounced his blessing on them: "Increase and multiply, and fill the earth, and make it yours. Take command of the fishes in the sea, and all that flies through the air, and all the living things that move on the earth." Here are all the herbs, God told them, that seed on earth, and all the trees that carry in them the seeds of their own life, to be your food, food for all the beasts on the earth, all that flies in the air, all that creeps along the ground. Here all that lives shall find its nourishment. And so it was done. God saw all that he had made, and found it very good. So evening came, and morning, and a sixth day passed. Next, Isaiah chapter 53. What credence for such news is ours? Whom reaches it, this new revelation of the Lord's strength? He will watch this servant of his appear among us, unregarded as brushwood shoot, as a plant in waterless soil. No satellines here, no majesty, no beauty, as we gaze upon him, to win our hearts. Nay, here is one despised, left out of all human reckoning, bowed with misery, and no stranger to weakness. How should we recognize that face? How should we take any account of him, a man so despised? Our weakness, and it was he who carried the weight of it, our miseries, and it was he who bore them. A leper, so we thought of him, a man God had smitten and brought low. And all the while, it was for our sins he was wounded. It was guilt of ours crushed him down. On him the punishment fell that brought us peace. By his bruises we were healed. Strayed sheep all of us, each following his own path, and God laid on his shoulders our guilt, the guilt of us all. A victim, yet he himself bows to the stroke. No word comes from him. Sheep led away to the slaughterhouse, lamb that stands dumb while it is shorn. No word from him. Imprisoned, brought to judgment, and carried off, he whose birth is beyond our knowing. Numbered among the living no more. Be sure it is for my people's guilt I have smitten him. Takes he leave of the rich, the godless, to win but a grave, to win but the gift of death. He that wrong did never, nor had treason on his lips. The Lord's will it was. Overwhelmed he should be with trouble. His life laid down for guilt's atoning. He shall yet be rewarded. Father of a long posterity, instrument of the divine purpose, for all his heart's anguish, rewarded in full, the just one, my servant. Many shall he claim for his own, win their acquittal, on his shoulders bearing their guilt. So many lives ransomed, foes so violent balked of their spoil. Such is his due, that gave himself up to death, and would be counted among the wrongdoers, bore those many sins, and made intercession for the guilty. And finally, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. May I speak with every tongue that men and angels use, yet, if I lack charity, I am no better than echoing bronze, or the clash of cymbals. I may have powers of prophecy, no secret hidden from me, no knowledge too deep for me. I may have utter faith, so that I can move mountains. Yet, if I lack charity, I count for nothing. I may give away all that I have to feed the poor. I may give myself up to be burnt at the stake. If I lack charity, it goes for nothing. Charity is patient, is kind. Charity feels no envy. Charity is never perverse or proud, never insolent, does not claim its rights, cannot be provoked, does not brood over an injury, takes no pleasure in wrongdoing, but rejoices at the victory of truth, sustains, believes, hopes, endures to the last. The time will come when we shall outgrow prophecy, when speaking with tongues will come to an end, when knowledge will be swept away. We shall never have finished with charity. Our knowledge, our prophecy, are only glimpses of the truth, and these glimpses will be swept away when the time of fulfillment comes. Just so, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I had the intelligence, the thoughts of a child. So I became a man. I have outgrown childish ways. At present, we are looking at a confused reflection in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now, I have only glimpses of knowledge. Then I shall recognize God as He has recognized me. Meanwhile, faith, hope, and charity persist, all three. But the greatest of them all is charity.